What's happening, everybody? That new intro is amazing. Thanks and big shout outs to the one and only Gio from A Week in Geekdom for finding that video, uploading that into our little library of videos next to like half naked chicks and random gifts. So, anyways, everybody, welcome to Omnibrosllive Sundays edition. It sounds like a monster truck rally. It's gonna be a great time, everybody. Thanks for showing up. I am Gabe Loves 90s Comics, and joining me today is the one and only my boy. We got Comics Guy 101. We got my boy Lou over that way. What up, bro?
What's good, man? How you doing?
Chilling, dude. Just another Sunday. Another good old great Sunday. We got a lot of people chilling out in the chat already, so shout out to all of them. Let's get the ball rolling, and we'll do some Q&A and see where this kind of leads us, and have just a fun kind of kickback for those of you from the 90s that remember what kickbacks were. And we're just hang out, shoot the shit, talk some comics. Maybe we'll talk some Ultraverse, because I'm so deep in that rabbit hole for Ultraverse that it's all I can really think about. But in the meantime, so give everybody a chance to kind of gather in, say what's up, give us some Q&As in the chat to give you guys some time to get that kind of rolling. Let's talk about our sponsor, the one and only, our favorite place to pick up all of our omnibuses, hardcovers, trade paperbacks, and collected editions is the one and only InStockTrades.com, everybody. That's the place you can go and get your collected editions up to 50% off. There's even a 2% loyalty discount. So you make an order 1 week. Actually, you make one order. Your next order immediately gets 2% off for an entire week. Orders over $50, which is really easy to do. You make an order that's $50 or more in the U.S., you get free shipping. You get the best packaging. That's the kind of packaging that you want to keep the box. You want to keep the packaging, save it for later if you ever have to move or if you sell something. Best packaging around. Awesome, amazing customer service from all of our great friends there at InStockTrades.com. Go there, everybody. Tell them Omnibrosllive sent you. Give them a virtual high five and a hug and all that kind of fun, awesome stuff.
Perfect. Nailed it, sir.
On it today. It's been a busy morning, so I'm ready to go. So I got kinds of energy to spare today. So
were you in the gym this morning already?
No, not yet. No, that's going to be a little bit later. I wanted to, but I had to build a trampoline outside.
Whoa!
And
wow.
That took some work and effort, and it was all worth it because the kids are going to be out there burning off all that energy. So hopefully they sleep better.
That's true. Are you a morning person for the gym or an afternoon person for the gym?
I have to be an afternoon person because I do it after work. But I prefer going in the morning. If I can get it out, if I can knock it out, like after the show, like in the morning, on like my days off on the weekends, if I go in the morning, the rest of the day I feel fucking fantastic. Like I am just on a different high, on a different cloud. Just everything is great. I work schedules. I got to do it after work during the week, which no big deal. It is what it is. But I rather go in the morning, and there's nobody there in the morning, so.
Oh, it's the best. You don't have to wait for any of the machines. You don't have to wait for any of the weights or anything like that. There's nobody just sitting around on the bench press, like doing nothing on their phone.
Yeah.
I love
Nobody's coming up to you going, "Hey, bro, how many sets you got left?" I'm just chill, dude. Like I'm sitting here on my phone on Instagram. Leave me alone. How often do you go to the gym these days?
Man, I try to get in about 4 times a week at minimum. I like to give myself 3 days of a break. When I do leg days, I usually give myself 2 days off after that. So that's kind of my excuse. And then I'll usually get the Saturday off. So I'm squeezing them in when I can. It's been a little bit less consistent lately because, like I've been saying, I've been spending every other weekend in Miami. And I usually come back Monday. And then from Monday, I leave around 4 a.m. to get to work on time. And I usually get to work around 8. By the time I get out of work that afternoon, I'm just done because I've been up so early and I had to make that drive and everything. So it's about 4 times a week normally.
That's perfectly fine. You don't need to go too much more than that.
No.
4 to 5 days a week is great. There's people out there who are just maniacs and go 6 days a week or even 7 days a week. That doesn't help, man. Your body needs to rest.
Absolutely.
It needs to recover. It needs to heal. If you don't give it time to recover and heal, it'll make you. Like, I've been there where it's like, oh, I'm not giving it any time to rest or whatever, and I pull something or I get really super sore and then I'm out for like a week or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've been doing that and it's been pretty good for me. I mean, and I usually go for about an hour and a half at most. I don't need much more than that, and I'm good.
90 minutes, maybe 2 hours, depends on what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it depends. I mean, I have my routines, you know. Like one day it's like chest and legs and triceps, and then another day it'll be like biceps, back, biceps, back.
Yeah.
What the fuck's the third one? Biceps, back.
Man,
and shoulders. So on the busy days, it takes me like an hour and a half because I got to wait for a machine, or I got to be like, oh, this machine I usually use isn't open, so let me try and find like an alternative. But on the slower days, I can just hit all the machines I want. I can hit all the benches I need, and I have all the weights ready. I'll knock it out a little bit quicker.
Man, and really, shouts out to Matt Miranda. He's in the chat right now, dude. That weight loss he's done is fucking nuts. I think Matt, he could tell us how much he lost in the chat, but he's dropped over 120 pounds, I think, at this point. Something ridiculous like that.
I think I met him at his heaviest.
Yeah.
I think he said that, like, when that time that he came to Torpedo and we were hanging out for a little bit, I think he said he was at his heaviest. And it's great to see that because, I mean, it's not only better for your body. I mean, like, it's body, mental, and spiritual. Like, you get a lot out of just hitting the gym for a little bit. And it's nothing. Jesus Christ, dude! About 145 pounds.
That's what he's. Yeah. Imagine
that's an achievement, dude.
A whole person just taking off of your body, basically.
Yeah, that's a whole person, dude. That is awesome. He was at 423 at his heaviest. Wow. That is amazing, dude. Shout out to you, dude. Like, you know, I know how hard it is, but it must be hard for somebody else, like, to lose that much. Like, that's just all kinds of levels of consistency, food, diet. Like, there's a lot involved, and it's all mental. You really have to, like, fight yourself mentally. At least it was for me. And you start realizing, like, just like society and advertisements and stores and things like that, they just keep pushing like sodas and cookies and candy and like fast food at you. I mean, granted, it's probably like, is it, you know, the chicken or the egg? Like, what came first? Is it that they're pushing it, or is it that's what everybody's buying? So the more that they buy it, the more that they're trying to push it. Like, how does that really work? But I started seeing, like, you go like the checkout stands at like grocery stores or even like gas stations, they're made out of like racks of candy and racks of soda. Like, you're walking through like a gauntlet of candy and soda and nonsense to just check out, and you're sitting there like, oh, the sweet Snickers bar. But, you know, you got to fight that on a constant basis.
Yeah,
you got to be like, I'm super hungry. I don't know what to eat. Like, what's around me, and you just kind of just pick something out. You got to start. There's a lot of stuff into it. You got to realize, like, here's what I can eat. Here's like a fast food place that I can't eat. Like, I'll eat an In-N-Out if I'm in a mad rush because it's legit like real meat and real veggies and stuff like that, you know. So it's a whole thing. So Matt doing it is amazing. Yeah, fast food is cheap, super accessible. You know, if I crave something, I'll go out on my way to Chipotle or Subway. You know, you can do that. Yeah, you get some rice, you get some chicken, you're good. You know, you got to stay away from all the other little nonsense they have. You know. Teriyaki Madness, like these teriyaki places around town, has been like my savior. There's like Teriyaki Madness, Teriyaki Boy, where it's like, dude, just give me some rice and some chicken and some beef, and that's it. Like, that's all I need. I don't need any of the extras. So,
well, you know me. If you follow my Instagram page, I'm all about cooking at home. I just prefer to cook at home. I prefer to cook my own stuff. I like to know what's in it.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy cooking in general. And I go pretty hard. I go pretty hard sometimes.
I'll do it too, but there's just those days where it's like I'm in a rush. I don't have time for breakfast, or I didn't meal prep for tomorrow, and it's like, okay, well, now you gotta kind of think on your feet and be like, what I gotta do. Sometimes I'll just go to a grocery store. I'll get like a pre-package of like the deli meat that they have, of like turkey and some cheese, and I'll just grab on that. Like, you gotta kind of just figure out where your alternatives really are and what you can do. So absolutely. That's great stuff. some stuff in the chat. Anyone read Monsters yet from L. Denver? I haven't. I'm super tempted because it's Barry Windsor Smith, and there's that whole story behind it. How it was like a book that he worked on for so long. It was supposed to be like a pitch for Hulk, and it didn't really take off. And apparently, it was used alternatively by a different writer. I see some pictures of it. The black and white. I should know better. I should know better than to have like a prejudice against black and white books. But I just can't get past the black and white sometimes. I love Barry Windsor Smith's like coloring, so I'm into it. I want to, but there's just so much stuff to read right now. I can't add more stuff. Like I'm trying to prevent myself from buying something I'm not going to read. I'm trying to prevent that from happening. And that's been like a curse in this collecting in this community for a long time. Like you just buy stuff and you're like, yeah, I want to read that. It's so cool. Let's get it. And then it's like, all right, well, now this other thing that cool came up, and I'm going to read that instead. And, I don't want to deal with the whole backlog.
Mm-hmm. Well, how many times have we seen the people that just started getting in the community, and they end up going out and buying 50 or like 30 omnibuses, and they're posting their pictures and hauls and stuff like that? And I'm like, good luck, man. I mean, if you got the cash for it,
more power to you. If you want to just collect it and you feel like you're going to get around to it, I mean, we talked about it before. It's time, money, and space is like the three kind of like pitfalls that you're going to fall into eventually. And for me, I can work around space. I could sell books and make more space and stuff like that. Money, same thing. I could sell books, make money to buy more books. No big deal. But time, I can't do anything about time. Like that is a 100% uncontrollable factor. And that's the one that I fall into. And I don't want to lose more time by buying more books I'm not going to buy or I'm not going to read. So I'll get around to it maybe one day, sooner or later. I've been doing stuff like I've been bringing books to work so I can read them on my lunch break. I'm half tempted to bring books to the gym. I don't really do a lot of cardio. I don't want to lose gains so much, but I've thought about doing little things that maybe something easier like Stairmasters or really light on the treadmill. I'm not pumping. I'm just kind of just walking for like a half an hour, 45 minutes or something like that. But again, that cuts into my limited hour and a half, 2 hour time I have anyways. But I thought about just having a book there and I could just kind of flip through it as I'm walking on the treadmill, but trying to make time where it's due.
Yeah, no, I've found that I watched Ted Lasso that way. I was on the elliptical, and I'll go on the elliptical for like about an hour.
How did you not die by falling and like twisting your ankle or something on that? That show's amazing.
Because I love Ted Lasso. I put the phone. There's like a little slit, and I just sit it right there, and I just go on the elliptical. And Ted Lasso is only like 25 minutes, so I do 2 of those. I've been doing 2 of those episodes, and I was watching it just back to back, and I was like, before I knew it, time went by. So I've been really enjoying that. That's been kind of my thing now, where if I'm doing the elliptical, like today, it's a cardio day for me, so I'm gonna be doing the elliptical and rowing. So it's gonna be, I'm gonna find some show that's like 25 minutes, like, and I'll just put it on. It really helps, and it makes the time go by a lot quicker.
Yeah, Ted Lasso is great, dude. I think you were the one that recommended it in our chat, and I was like, all right, let me check this out. And my wife and I, we were just stuck on it for a while. It was great.
It's such a fun show, man.
And it's like, dude, it's only one season. I was like, crap, But I think the second season's in the works, or is on its way out pretty soon.
So. July or June is when we get the next season. They've already announced it.
Perfect. I'm in there. I'm ready for it. NFL dude, Mike D. Jr. is 58 today. Do either of you like his artwork? I love his older stuff. Like his Hulk run was fantastic. I have some of his stuff here because I'm such a fan of Thunderbolts. I'm a big fan of his run on Incredible Hulk. Recently, I mean, maybe not so much because he relies heavily on digital background. Like he does these really like where it'll be like a digital frame, and you kind of move like the background around for different panels and stuff. Not my thing, but his hand drawn artwork, like he'll do sketches on Instagram and stuff like that. He's still got it. He's a champ. I'm just not a big fan of the digital, and a lot of the stuff is really kind of dark and in shadows and stuff like that. But he's one of the greats for me on Hulk.
Do you still like do you like digital art, or do you kind of prefer the old school pen and paper, like what they used to do?
I prefer the old school stuff.
Old school, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, so sometimes you can't tell the difference, and that's when it's okay with me. But the digital coloring, when you could tell it's like digital coloring,
Yeah.
and it has that digital like tint to it, it takes me out. It's not there for me.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see Jim Lee, because I believe Jim Lee, when he first started on the X-Men, was not digital art. He was old school.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the transition to Image Comics happened, and then DC Comics, they picked up digital. It was like, okay, now he switched it up, and then he went digital, and I like it, but I do miss. I'm just such an old school guy at heart. I love the old school Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, the coloring and the penciling and all that hard work that they put in back then.
Oh yeah, that's where it is, and I like the old school coloring where sometimes the register was off a little bit, and like there's like bleeds and stuff like that. I like that. That's what I liked about comics, is kind of the imperfections behind it all. And right now with the digital stuff, it's some beautiful, beautiful stuff. Like Warren Lau is doing this KRS exclusive for Wonder Woman, I think it is, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful, but it's not for me. That's all. Nothing against it. It's not for me. Not for me. Los Definite, yeah, fool. I'm ready, man. We'll make it happen. That's my boy, good friend of mine. Don't want to get into too much detail, but that's a boy. That's my boy. That's my true homie right there. We got here. Adam likes to do push pull days, and legs. Well, you said push and pill, but whatever. I know what you meant, bro. What else is going on here?
I think Adam has a question for me.
Oh, there you go. Lou, do you spend less since you read digital?
100%. A whole lot less. A whole lot less. Because a lot of the stuff that gets collected in omnibuses for Marvel is stuff that's already on the Marvel Unlimited app. So if I want to read, for example, I don't know, Jeff Loeb's Hulk run or something like that, I could just pull it up on the Marvel Unlimited app, and I haven't spent a dime. I spent like the $10 a month that it cost me to pick it up. Same thing with manga. A lot of the manga that I read is the Shonen Jump stuff. So for that, I spend $1 a month. I spend $2 a month on Shonen Jump app, and I get to read every single chapter that comes out every single week of some of the most popular manga that's out there. I do think there is something to be missed, though, about having physical stuff. I know Kentaro Miura, we talked a little bit about him last night when he passed away. And I want to bring this up in the chat. I'm going to bring this up in the show because I thought this was a good conversation yesterday. But those Berserk Deluxe Edition hardcovers are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely gorgeous. They are just works of art on themselves. And we talked about this yesterday, but with the passing of Kentaro Miura, I want to hear the chat out on this one. Who do you think today, if they passed away, would have as much of an impact as Kentaro Miura had today? I mean, over the weekend when he passed away, because we're talking about his death transcended beyond manga. Yeah. There were people in video games that, like Final Fantasy XIV, which is an MMO, they were mourning his death. There were people in mainstream media that were mourning his death. It was huge, and it rocketed not just manga and comics, but just news in general. Yeah. He was trending.
I saw it everywhere. I saw it on like toy groups I'm in. I saw like Joe Madureira talking about it for a little bit. Like you said, video games. It was like, it was on like local news. Like it was a big ordeal. And we talked about yesterday. And it's just, it's really hard to kind of pinpoint what comic book person would transcend into that mass kind of a public domain that everybody would be in such a mourning for. It's interesting.
I came up yesterday. The only one that I could come up with that I said maybe would be Alan Moore. Maybe Alan Moore right now.
Yeah, maybe Alan Moore. So I think somebody from the Patreon chat yesterday said, Ian said Neil Gaiman, but he's transcended like comics. Like he's definitely transcended into like the more literary, a lot of films and stuff like that as well. MN40 says a woman I worked with years ago lost over 100 pounds too quickly. She looked good, but the rapid weight loss made her sick, and she had problems for a number of years after. She put the weight back on.
Mm-hmm.
That's too bad. That's also the hard part is maintaining. Maintaining is the hard part as well. Mm-hmm. It's a consistent thing. It's a lifestyle change. It's not a diet. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna cut out carbs for a little bit. It's a lifestyle change. Like you really have to become a different person.
All right.
Alexis says, yo, Gabe, I went to Torpedo Comics. It was an amazing place. Going back in June when I visit again. Picked up Daredevil, Brubaker, Omni #1. Yeah, they got some good stuff there in Torpedo still. They still got like a lot of whales sitting around. Good pickup on that one for sure. What else we got? Spencer Wooten says that's how he started. I pick up 2 a month now. That's good. Yeah, a lot of times you kind of just go for the gusto and you start grabbing everything. And you kind of get into that mob mentality and you start grabbing so much stuff. But yeah, 2 a month. Hey, if you're able to afford it and you have the space and the time for it, do what you can, man. Do what you can. I'm starting to dip out a little bit on Omnis. They're too hard to read after a while. So
well, it's a time thing. You brought up time earlier, and it's really just a time thing. How much time are you really going to have to sit down and read all those huge books and stuff like that? So I squeeze in my reading when I can. I haven't been reading as much lately, unfortunately, as I should.
I mean, I try to knock out 1 or 2 issues a day, when I get a chance, things like that. So, and that's more than enough. I mean, you'll burn through an omnibus in like a month, 2 weeks or something, depending, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. I don't need to just jam through. That's the thing that other people do too. They just jam through like, oh, I read an Omni a day. That's crazy. Like I don't have, I don't want to just data dump that much. I like to read and kind of like flip through it. I like to go back to pages and look at the art and experience it and think about it. Like especially like with Watchmen. When people read Watchmen in one day, I go, "You're crazy!" Like you should read like 1, maybe 2 issues a night. Sit back and kind of reflect on it, and then go to the next issue. There's a lot in there to take in for you to just kind of just speed read through that stuff.
Now, when did you first read Watchmen? Do you remember?
Late 90s, 99 maybe, 90, 97, 98, somewhere around there. It was Wizard Comics, Wizard Magazine really introduced me to a lot of that stuff. Like they had an article. I don't remember what issue it was, but they had an article where they were talking about what's better, Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen. And they kind of, gave the pros and cons to each, and I was like, what is this Watchmen book? And I think another issue later, it sticks in my head where they were talking about original art. And they were like, if the money's green, you can buy original art. If the money's green, you can buy Jack Kirby art. If the money's green, it was Wizard back in the 90s, but if the money's green, Hitler could buy Watchmen pages. And I was like, whoa, that's really weird. And then Garrett Shamus, the editor-in-chief, on his wall, there's a picture of him, and he had all the covers for Watchmen. I was like, oh, what's this? So I went, that was that kind of stuff. But then they kept talking about it, and that's when I picked it up. And I was like, wow, this is fantastic. It's really good. I can see why people love it.
So you loved it from the get, right? You enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time, but I've never really read all that back matter stuff that Alan Moore put in there.
Oh,
that just prose? No way, man. Every time I just go,
really?
I start it and I go, next issue, please.
Really? No, you're missing. I mean, you're missing out on some of the backstory stuff. I mean, if you ever want to fall down that hole, you can watch a YouTube video and they'll probably fill you in on everything involving it. But I will say a lot of that back matter stuff is actually really good. So if you get a chance and if you ever revisit it, I do recommend you reading it. It is very wordy and it's very Alan Moore-y. Mm-hmm. I read Watchmen before the movie had come out because everybody was hyping it up. Everybody was saying, "Man, Watchmen's this amazing comic book. Watchmen's the fantastic thing. It's on Time Magazine's top 100 books." And to me, I read it and thought, it was okay. It was okay. Now, having gone back in over the last few years and reread it a few more times, I'm like, no, this is really a stroke of genius. And I think you need that appreciation and that understanding of comics and where they were up to that point before Watchmen to truly appreciate it. because it really did shake up the industry a whole lot. It broke what superheroes were for a lot of people.
There's a lot. It's also kind of that Dark Knight started that kind of darker era and like more grounded era of comics, where it's like, this is a comic book talking about a guy that has impotent issues because he can only get it going when he's wearing his costume, and that's stuff that you never really talked about before,
right?
And all that kind of stuff in there about like relationship problems and personal problems and things like that you really didn't get to see like in comics much back then. So
right.
Matt Miranda, yeah, I think I still can get the hookup at Torpedo. We'll see what happens if you come out. I hope they get. I'm sure Claremont will come back. They got a big like Torpedo con signing coming up pretty soon, so keep your eye out on that. He also says Jim Lee. Jim Lee's one he thinks that would be. I know I'd be saddened. I'd be taken back for a while if Jim Lee dies, because I've had not only just experience with his work, but I've met him plenty of times personally. I've hung out with him and stuff like that. Yeah. So
he seems like a nice
guy. He's great. Yeah, he's great. Neil Gaiman and Chris Claremont, Jim Lee, McFarlane. That's one I talked about last night. I think probably McFarlane, but his body of work is really small compared to same with Jim Lee. Like their bodies of work are really small. Once they kind of fizzled away from Image and they kind of took the more corporate approach, their career they've had it's always going to be long lasting, and it's always going to be around, and it's always going to be felt, but there's not much to really see about to get today for the most part. And Jim Lee does covers, McFarlane does covers, and that's really about it for the most part. Alex Ross, maybe I could see that, but
Ross would be probably pretty big. It wouldn't rock like it wouldn't rock outside of the industry though, but
Frank Miller.
Yeah. Man, how old is Frank Miller? Because the last time I saw Frank Miller, he was looking a little rough for a while there.
Yeah, I think he had some health issues that really deteriorated him for a little bit, maybe. I don't know. He did a signing with Torpedo before, and I was chatting with him for a while, and he's sharp as a tack and quick as a whip, and he's there. He's 64, according to Wikipedia.
Without naming names, have you ever, because you worked at Torpedo, you let them at a lot of comic creators and artists, and without naming names, have you ever had a bad experience with a creator, or has everybody been pretty cool?
No one in Torpedo has been we're pretty good about getting people that we know and friends and things like that. In general, I think the only person I had a bad experience with was Pat Lee. You remember Pat Lee, who did like Dreamwave, Transformers and stuff like that? He was kind of a dick. But I mean, for the most part, these guys realize that like outside of like this industry or this this circle, there were nobodies. So when they get into that circle and they're treated like a celebrity, they're really way more appreciative about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you ask the guy on the street if they know who Frank Cho is, they'd be like, who?
Yeah. Or Jonathan Hickman? Yeah, nobody cares. Yeah, nobody knows who Jonathan Hickman is. Outside of comic books, I mean, even depending on what circle of comic books you're in, they might not even know who he is.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, Matt, you need carbs. That's one thing I fought against carbs, and I was losing my weight, and then I realized, like, if you need to, for muscle building, you need protein, carbs, and fat, and water. Like, there's a lot of those things in there that you really got to take care of. And I just have a hard time tracking. Like, I don't track my macros or any of that stuff. That's too much for me. I'm not going to measure like, oh, here's 1 cup of rice and here's 4 ounces of chicken or whatever. Like, I just eat, and I know I got a good idea where I'm at. Cause I've learned how to eat till I'm satisfied and not till I'm full. And that's a problem I had. Was I always just like, oh, I got this giant bowl of spaghetti, I might as well eat the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I'm in that boat too. And I think that comes as you get older too. You start realizing I can't eat like I used to because that would fuck me up.
No, man, I used to eat like a monster when I was like in my early 20s. I would eat just a whole pizza by myself without gaining weight or feeling bad or anything. Same. But then you kind of hit that second puberty or whatever, and you're just going downhill.
Yeah, well, I had 30, dude, and I just can't eat like I used to. I'm noticing I'm having more like not issues, but gastrointestinal things.
Yeah.
Where I had maybe like 4 chips the other day after I got home from work. I didn't eat a whole bag. I had like 4. And I felt like crap. Like my
That's
stomach was
good.
bloated. My stomach was bloated, and I felt like shit. It's like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
man?
Your
Can't
body
do it.
realizes, you start to realize that shit's poison.
Yeah, it
Like
was bad,
you,
man.
you 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 force yourself to like that stuff is what it
Yeah.
is. You force yourself to like all that sugar and all that really processed nonsense stuff. And then when you kind of cycle off of it
Mm-hmm.
and you go back and you have McDonald's one day or something like that. Like my wife's going through that where she cycled off of that stuff, and I'm trying to get her, into like a gym cycle too.
Mm-hmm.
And she stopped eating all this bad food. And then one day it's like, oh, I'm in a rush and, work and I don't have anywhere to eat. And she'll grab McDonald's and she's like, I ate like a couple bites out of it. And I just felt like I was going to die. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's good. Remember that. Like, it's your body telling you, I don't want this stuff. Like, this is not the way to live. This is not the way to eat. So, and it's fine to have like you earn your cheat meals and stuff like that. Where it's like, it's been like I've been really good on my diet for like a month.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go get a pizza or something like that. So
yeah.
El Denver, if you read too fast, it's really hard to remember. Yeah, that's exactly why I just wanted to take a couple issues at a time. I'm going to reflect on it. I want to sit back and think about it, and then I want to look forward to the next issue. I don't want to like burn through it or anything like that. So. Watchmen Super Dense. That thing is a monster. It's one of the best books out there. Gotham Stab's the first comic he's ever read.
Wow. You've jumped right into the deep end, man.
Yeah.
Damn.
I wonder if you've like gone back and read it recently, now that you're more into comics and because there's a lot of subtext in the comics in there.
Yeah.
It's almost like Planetary. Like I don't think you can just read Planetary as your first comic book because all the subtext in there, all the little kind of like nods and homages, and like it's Warren Ellis, so he's always deconstructing comics. You kind of lose out on that element of him deconstructing like the Fantastic Four and deconstructing Thor and Superman and things like that if you don't have like some kind of like experience with it in that manner.
Yeah. I mean, have you, speaking of Warren Ellis, have you seen the final season of Castlevania yet?
No, my wife and I started it the other night, and it was just one of those things where it was just kind of late for us, and we just both fell asleep watching it. Yeah, nothing against it. I don't think it's bad. Like I know I'm gonna love it, but it's just like I kind of it's been so long that I got to go back and watch the recap at the beginning of episode 1. That recap. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. All this stuff happened. This is where they're at now, and they got this going on. But I'm looking forward to it, dude. I love Castlevania from the beginning. That first season is the biggest cliffhanger ball tease ever. It was the worst.
And it took them like 2 years for season 2 to come out.
I was so mad. Oh my God.
Yeah, they've been pumping them out pretty quick. I was so happy that Warren Ellis, after that whole whatever it was that happened to him, that whole incident, he was able to finish writing Castlevania. And apparently this is the best season yet, and they wrap it up with a bow on top, and it's great. Which
perfect.
It's Warren Ellis. I expected it from Warren Ellis.
Yeah.
Man,
well, he wrote the entire thing. Like he's like the sole writer of it, from my understanding. So
he is. He wrote every single.
And he was writing that for years. Like I remember, he was on the Bendis boards. I was on the Bendis boards way back where message boards were a thing. And he went on there and kind of like posted like his like first synopsis and his first like pages of the book, and it was that whole bar scene at the first episode where they're talking about fucking pigs and stuff like that. So he's been working on it for a while. But I remember like I think it was I talked about it yesterday, that we were talking about our favorite panels we've been to at a convention. And I was talking about that Warren Ellis panel at San Diego, where he was in there smoking and all this stuff and just pounding Red Bulls like a monster. And he was talking about how he got the gig for Castlevania. So somebody asked him about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I was on the phone," and they were like, "Oh, yeah," and he's like Wikipedia and the whole thing. Like, "Oh yeah, I get this. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know all the history of it." And he's like Wikipedia in it at the same time. So
it always interests me, that whole. Just to kind of dive off in another tangent, but the whole cancel culture thing and everything like that, that's always fascinating to me, because really, for me, it just revolves around a subsect of people on the internet, and it just gets blown up way out of proportion than what it actually is, I think, because the reality is most of the people don't give a shit. like a lot of the cancel stuff, most of the people don't. I mean, yeah, you've got your big things like Jeffrey Epstein, which that was fucked up and deserved it. But like a lot of the stuff outside of those little inner circles of like comics and geek culture, nobody outside really gives a fuck. Everybody's just trying to live their own life and do their own thing and really just chilling and relaxing, man. I mean, if Warren Ellis came out tomorrow with a new 6-issue miniseries of Planetary or something like that with John Cassaday, I'm there day one. I'm buying it day one. Like, I don't care.
I've thought about this a lot recently, especially with reading Ultraverse stuff, because a lot of that stuff's done by Gerard Jones, and we all know, like, the unfortunate, things going on with that happened with him, and that he's done and all that kind of stuff. But I start to think, like, I don't read people's books because I think they're a good person,
right?
Like, I don't watch a movie because I think that Christopher Platt could be my buddy or my friend or anything like that. Like, or that we would get along, or we share the same ideals, or anything like that. So I'm pretty good about separating one from the other, like the person and their work, like Michael Jackson, for instance, or anybody, or Roman Polanski, or even just people that's had just. Here it is for me, dude. The first person with sin can cast the first stone, right? That's the saying? So, so I'm not here to judge. I think, these terrible things that people have done, it's a cry for help, and maybe they need a lot more, attention, therapy, or whatever. But that's personal, and their work is what I'm here for. I'm here for, Alan Moore's Killing Joke. I'm here for Warren Ellis's Authority and Planetary and Transmetropolitan, or Jeff Johns. I'm there for Green Lantern, and I'm there for that work, and not really like his relationships with people or their ties to the industry, or things that happen in their personal lives, like, oh, he cheats on his wife. Well, that's honestly probably like 80% of married people, unfortunately. So
unfortunately,
there's a lot of that. Like, how much do I really want to care, and how much am I going to let that affect my reading or my enjoyment of anything? And if you dig deep enough, you could find a reason to not like everybody and everything.
Absolutely.
Companies, Coca-Cola, or these companies that, like, the main guy from Marvel, I forget his name, but he's apparently like a big Trump supporter and, like, donated to his campaigns and stuff like that. I don't give a damn. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not the person that's like, my money's not going to go to Marvel because he's going to use it to give it to Trump and all these other really bad, charities or whatever, make donations. No, I give my money because I'm buying a comic book. I don't care what happens to that money afterwards, or how anybody spends their money, or any of that stuff, or how a company spends their money. And again, if you dig deep enough, every company, you're probably going to find a reason to not like them. But at the same time, there's people who, the majority of people who work there are probably people like you and I are, normal, regular people, family supporting folks who, this is their job and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I always think of like Jason Latour and that whole situation that happened. Latour was on top of the world when that whole thing blew up in his face, whatever it was that happened. I still don't even fucking know all the details about the shit, and I don't think anybody really knows everything.
And I don't dig deep into it. I don't care enough to dig into it.
I don't care. Exactly. Whatever happened with Latour is not going to stop me from enjoying Southern Bastards, which was fucking amazing, and it's a damn shame that they won't get to finish that anytime soon. And it's not going to stop me from enjoying his Spider-Gwen run. People can say what they want. He created Spider-Gwen. That concept of that character, which is one of the biggest newer characters. She's technically newer, yes and no, in the last few years.
Yeah.
And Marvel's gonna continue using Spider-Gwen because she's in movies, she's in stuff. They're not gonna shy away from it. I think they're even putting out. Are they putting out an omnibus with Latour's name on it?
Are they? I mean, they should. I mean, if it's his work, he should be 100% credited for it and everything like that. So
it's so easy though to fall into this rabbit hole of like, we should cancel this person and we should do this person, because when you're on Twitter and when you're on all these social media links, you are in your bubble. You are in that bubble. You are in a carefully curated bubble based upon the people that you follow. So yeah, you're gonna see just whatever you want to see on that stuff. And that's just how social media in general works, and advertising in general works. You are going to see what you want, what you like. It's not the whole picture, and it's not necessarily seeing things from the other side. And I'm not even talking about canceling people. I'm talking about things in general. It's just that's just how it is.
Yeah, like I said, I don't care enough to really dig into it. Like, I see it, and I'm like, all right, that's unfortunate, and whatever help they need, I hope they get it. But I'm not going to dig into like, hey, there's a website of everything that Warren Ellis has ever done, and there's like 60,000 different women who say that he did this and this and this and this, and I'm like, I'm not going to read all of that. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not looking for reasons to hate anybody,
And life is too short, man. Why am I going to spend all this time, energy, and effort just being mad at stuff, at everything that comes up? It's too short. It's way too short.
And I couldn't like anything at that point, because you would find something that everybody that you don't like, every company. Oh, well, this company donates to this organization, and that organization does a bunch of fracking, or they do pollution, or whatever. You never know, So I'm here for the work. I'm here for the product. I'm here for that. Again, like I've been reading all this Ultraverse stuff. And Prime, a lot of that stuff is written by Gerald Jones, and he did a lot of, shitty stuff.
Yeah.
But his work is fine. His work is really good. And there's actually some stuff in there where you're like, that's some subtext now that, thinking about it now, back then, there was some subtext in there. Maybe it was a cry for help. Maybe it's some other kind of meaning that he's putting into it. I don't know. But there's some stuff in Prime where I'm like, whoa, there's some weird stuff in here that I wonder if knowing what I know now is into it. But at the same time, I just want to see Prime just punch people and get really big and explore being a kid and stuff like that too, all at the same time. If you can dig deep, you might find the worst stuff about Stan Lee or Jack Kirby or anybody else. But I'm not here to dig into anybody's privacy. The same way I don't want anybody to dig into my privacy and put out my skeletons and all the skeletons that we all have in our closets and stuff.
Right.
So.
No, you nailed it. How is that Ultraverse stuff, by the way? Good?
It's amazing. It is really good. People are missing out. So I've been reading like Prime. Prime has been excellent. It's basically Shazam on like just super goo stuff. Like the idea of it's a little kid who grows into this big superhero character, all super muscular and stuff like that. But it's him as a kid and still dealing with things like girls at school and being picked on and things like that. And then I've also been digging into what is it? Sludge. Sludge is really good too. These are the ones I've read. The thing with Ultraverse that I really like, and I'm going to fall deep into it, is there's a complete reading order that tells you start with this book and then you go into this issue. It's a complete shared universe, and everything ties in together. So kind of if you read if I read Sludge, I read Sludge 1 through 3, and in between the panels of 2 and 3, this big event crossover happens. And the sky is yellow, and everybody basically turns into like the cross, like they're all trying to kill each other, like everybody in society. So I'm gonna go back and start from the beginning and see if I can read it in order chronologically. But Sludge is really good. Sludge is a dirty cop who gets they RoboCop him almost, like these mobsters RoboCop. And they mass murder this dude. It is straight RoboCop. And they throw him into the sewer, and I guess in the sewer he fell into some chemicals, and then they threw him in the sewer, and he came out as like this giant sludge monster.
Cool.
And he's just like this giant Hulk character. He has problems kind of talking, but he's a cop, and he's trying to figure things out. So it's all really well done. The art's great, the coloring is great, the stories are really well done. There's some weird 90s tropes in there. And that was not just comics 90s tropes, but just 90s stories in general. You see like in movies and TV show where all the bad guys are drug dealers or drug pushers and gang members, and there's always a drive-by happening and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of that involved, but that's fine. I mean, that's typical stuff in there, But it's all really good. Ultraverse is very interesting because they were only around for like 2 or 3 years. But in that 2 or 3 years, they did a lot of awesome books. They had a TV show. They had a cartoon of Ultra Force, which is like their Avengers that has all the characters together. So that had a cartoon. They had a live action TV show for Nightman, of all things. They did a movie called Firearm, and that movie leads up into issue 0. So you had to watch the movie, and then it leads right into the comic book, and you can continue reading the series. And that's really cool because that's really what would be interesting if they did that today with comics and with how popular Marvel comics are and Disney Plus shows and things like that. Like there should be some kind of synergy involved, but there isn't. So, but I'm all in there. I'm all in on Ultraverse stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a shame that that there is not that synergy. So that's something else we discussed last night on the Patreon show. That there's not that sense of connection. Like, oh yeah, you read, like you brought this up yesterday, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I think you cut out. Oh, he died. All right. So, anyways, let's see if we get some more questions in the chat. We'll do some more Q&A real quick.
Hey,
you back? Hey.
Yeah.
All right. You cut out for a minute.
Hold on a second.
We'll figure this out, everybody. We'll figure this out.
Sorry, that was my fiance. She was calling me.
You gotta do what you. Oh, is that what happened? You got a phone call and that cut you out?
Yeah, I'm on my phone right now. So
cool. But yeah, we were talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier last night on the Patreon.
Yeah. There's no. You brought it up yesterday. There's really no synergy. There's no. Well, if you want to read Falcon and the Winter Soldier, here's this Falcon and the Winter Soldier comic that you can pick up right off the bat. It's like, well, if you want to read the story of the Winter Soldier, you got to start in Captain America at Brubaker's run. And if you really want to start the origin of Falcon, you got to go all the way back to like the 1970s. And it's like, oh my god.
Or even right now, like Falcon isn't Captain America right now.
Yeah,
like that storyline's past. Like that's over. That's like 2 years ago or something.
It's done.
Yeah, so it'd be nice if they were able to just like put that together. Where after Falcon and Winter Soldier, maybe there's a miniseries or at least a one shot or something like that Firearm movie. I think it might have been a direct to DVD or not even DVD, direct to VHS film. But when you start it, there's commercials for Malibu comic books, and that's completely unheard of. There's no, of all the money and all the popularity and all the eyes and spotlight and attention that comics have right now. It's surprising that there isn't more.
I can't hear you
commercials. Again. No, you're messed up.
I can't hear you. Something's up with the audio. I'm gonna jump back out and jump back in. Okay.
Cool. So we'll give him a minute to come back. But yeah, like I'm saying. They did commercials for for Malibu Comics and Ultraverse. You know what? I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna show you guys what I am talking about. Because again, I've been so deep into this that I'm gonna show you that they had commercials for Ultra Force comics and Malibu comics and stuff like that. Firearm. See what we could find here. You back? I think he's back. There you go. All right, man. You back? You hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, can you hear me?
Very cool. Yeah, excellent. Okay. Trying to find something here. No, that's not it. So I'm going to show them the commercial they did for Ultra Force or for Malibu Comics. They're so 90s that it's really crazy, out of control stuff.
It's a pretty bitchin' intro. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome.
Oh, I was gonna show that. I was gonna show the actual commercials they did for the comics. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna screen share this real fast. I found the commercials. This is so funny. You'll love it, dude. Anybody that's like wants to make fun of the 90s or how we dressed or how we acted, this is gonna be it. Like you guys are gonna get a kick out of all this stuff. Oh, dang it. Let me get the sound. Let me do that over again. I forgot I got to hit that button for sound. Right? I thought there was a button for sound. No. Here we go. I gotta do it this way. All right. Doop, doop, doop. All right, guys, get ready for this.
We're talking bass fishing all day.
Wow.
Right.
Infestation of like one video.
Come back. I love you.
Ultraverse comic books on sale today.
Comic book store. Let's go.
Meth is a hell of a drug.
No, dude.
They couldn't be there in
They're all
launch of that
skateboarding
Super
over
Guy,
there.
or in 62 for the launch of that Spider Guy. Well, they can be there now for the birth of the Ultraverse.
Whoa.
Line that way.
Prime Hard Case, first editions in comic shops, June 16th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Wow.
So yeah,
Holy
they
crap.
did commercials and stuff for comic books, and that's just unprecedented. Like, how cool is that?
They don't do that.
No. That's the company that was around. I mean, Malibu was around for a while. Like Malibu themselves, they started out doing like Mortal Kombat comics, and they did a lot of licensing comics and things like Street Fighter. And those books, they're expensive these days because of the Mortal Kombat movie that came out. But they were licensing all this stuff, and they also were the original distributors for Image Comics. Like, they were original distributors for like Youngblood and Spawn and Wildcats and Savage Dragon, all that stuff. So they were around for a while. But Ultraverse was only for like 2 or 3 years. But like I said, they did commercials, they did movies, they had a TV show, they had a cartoon. That Ultra Force cartoon, that intro, it has to be on everybody's like gym workout list. That thing will get you going. Will get you going bad.
Oh my god, man! Yeah, they must have made a good amount of money though if they were the distributors for Image.
Yeah.
They must have been making some good cash, man.
And that's where that all started from. So if you guys look at if anybody has original Image comic books, let me see. I have a Youngblood #1 up here. That on the inside of it. It has Malibu Comics printed in Canada, but distributed through Malibu Comics.
Oh man, look at that paper quality too.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was such a game changer back then.
Yeah, the coloring. Yeah. This is back when. Look at the coloring on there. This is like the beginning of like digital coloring a little bit. The paper stock was way better. I mean, that's what made Image stand out at the time. And that's where these like $1, $2.50 back then.
Yeah, people want to shit a little bit on like Spawn and stuff like that, but man, they changed the game a little bit, especially in terms of quality. The quality was just so much more than what the big two were putting out that it really did change a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I was talking about it yesterday that like all this Ultraverse stuff, all this Malibu stuff is gone. Like, we're never going to get reprints. We're never going to get omnibuses. We're never going to get any kind of collected edition of it or anything because there's some weird contract thing or something happened because Marvel bought them out for their coloring department. And for a while, there's actual like Ultraverse comics out there that has Marvel characters in it. Like there's a Nightman and Gambit miniseries. There's Ultra Force and Avengers and like Captain America and Prime, all this stuff. So they had a shared universe. There's a Silver Surfer Rune. Rune's like this vampire bat character that's really cool. It has all these jewels that give them that kind of saves them from cancer and that gives them these special powers and stuff. In that series, they made a 7th Infinity Stone called Ego, the Ego Stone, which it's not there anymore. They don't speak about it anymore. But there's technically a 7th Infinity Stone called Ego that was created during that Rune Silver Surfer storyline. So they were tangent and they were together for a while, and then they just disappeared. And according to some kind of contracts, they can never use the characters. They can never reprint it. There's all these red tape things going on. So it's a dead universe, and it's kind of what I like about it is that not too many people know about it, and there's not a bunch of stuff out there for it, and I can buy all the books eventually, and I can have the complete universe. So
right,
it's gonna be fun. It's cool. So Whew. All right. What do we got going on here? Somebody said their favorite comic is Dave Chappelle. I'm right up there with you.
Dave is great. I personally like Joey Diaz a little more than Dave, though.
Joey Diaz is awesome too.
You want to talk about somebody that's raw and that doesn't give a damn?
Dude.
Joey Diaz.
He pulls his nuts out on stage and stuff. Like he's that older Hispanic dude. He's just crazy town.
Crazy.
So Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan are doing a show out here in Vegas, and my wife and I we really wanted to go, but it's like, we could use that money for something else right now, but we were really tempted to go. Like I was ready for it.
Yeah, I've seen some of Rogan's stand-up, and it doesn't do anything for me. I'm not a fan of his stand-up. I do listen to his podcast whenever he has a guest that piques my interest.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as his stand-up, that's not my cup of tea. I prefer Joey Diaz or Dave Chappelle, like you said. Now, if we want to get classic, just Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy Raw is one of the greatest stand-ups that I've ever seen. I loved Eddie Murphy Raw. And it's still great today. It's still funny as hell.
Yeah, we're missing. We'll touch back on half a second on the cancel culture, but they've said that because of that, like comedians are not what they are today, or what they should be. Like you can't have an Andy Dice Clay today and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't, man.
Okay, so someone's correcting me that they didn't buy Malibu for just the coloring departments to stop DC from buying them. So I've looked that up. I guess I was wrong, but that's the legend I always knew about it. So
what are the odds we ever get an omnibus of that stuff, like the Ultraverse stuff?
No, I'd have to make my own. I don't want to go through the hassle doing that. Dude. I'm good. Again, I don't want to make a book that I can't read. That's too big and clunky or whatever, But
yeah,
there you go. Here you go. Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Seinfeld, Chappelle, Chris Rock, Dangerfield. Yeah, dude, Rodney Dangerfield was a champion.
You know who's surprisingly pretty dirty, and I didn't expect it, was Bob Saget.
Yeah, dude, he's bad news.
Saget is hilarious, but God.
Yeah, the guy from Full House and America's Funniest Home Videos is a raw comedian. Same with Howie Mandel. The guy that did Bobby's World is just a dirty comedian, and that's great. That's stuff. I remember my dad used to take me down to his truck so my sister couldn't hear, and we would listen to Andrew Dice Clay tapes together and just laugh. And I didn't know some of the jokes or understood the context to it, but it was funny stuff. But, all right, so we're hitting that hour mark.
Go for it.
Let's go ahead and let's do our second spot for the one true sponsorship of Omnibros Live is our awesome friends at InStockTrades.com. Our number one preferred spot for buying all of our omnibuses, trade paperbacks, hardcovers, and collect editions in general. It's always a one-stop shop at InStock Trades where you can get up to 50% off on all new releases. You get the best packaging. You get a 2% loyalty discount when you make an order. So you can make an order and make another order right away and get 2% discount on that. The best packaging, amazing customer service. The one spot, the Omnibros pick for all of your omnibus collecting is InStockTrades.com. Well, we'll be giving away a $50 gift card, not tomorrow, Monday, but next Monday. The last Monday of the month, we always give away a $50 gift card or credit for InStockTrades.com. So make sure you catch us again tomorrow and then next week for the awesome $50 giveaway. Yes, sir. All right. It was Superman 3 would have been platinum status. They would let Pryor be himself. Can you imagine, bro? He's there smoking crack and lighting himself on fire.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Bill Burr, that's another one. It's crazy that Bill Burr is a part of like the Mandalorian now, and is like this whole great thing he's got going there. Dang it, that show on Amazon, the Marvelous Miss Maisel, is really good.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the name of that comedian from back there, like in the 50s, where he used to get like arrested on stage for being like dirty, like we're talking like 1950s dirty, which is basically just somebody just saying like vagina or something like that, you know. But
for me, it's between right now Joey Diaz and Bob Stanhope. Stanhope doesn't give a damn. He does not care, man. Stanhope is raw. Patrice O'Neal back in the day. He's got a special. You can watch it on Netflix. That is just an hour, and it is one of the funniest fucking specials that I've ever seen. It's hilarious. Patrice was so ahead of his time, and he was brilliant. It's a shame he died so young.
Yeah, I mean, we lost a lot of good comedians. Mitch Hedberg, remember Mitch Hedberg?
Yep, I remember Mitch Hedberg.
He was fantastic, but unfortunately, the guy, had a heroin addiction that was, more powerful. Lenny Bruce, thank you, Stuart. Lenny Bruce, he is like the forefront godfather when it comes down to critical current events and that kind of raunchy humor and stuff like that. Derek Taylor, I looked some stuff up. I put a link in the chat to a CB article about that legend of Malibu being bought out for just their coloring department. So there's some information more on there too. So all right. Anyways, Lou, where can people find you online, bro?
You can find my old archive of videos at Comics Guide 101 on YouTube, and you can follow me on Comics Guide 101 on Twitter.
All right. And you guys can find me on Instagram, Gabe Loves 90s Comics, where I'm posting stuff like about Malibu Comics and Ultraverse. I've been posting old 90s cartoon intros and stuff like that. So I've got I'm gonna post a Savage Dragon intro today for that cartoon, if anybody remembers that, on the USA Network. It's not an intro that you want to add to your gym playlist or anything like that, but it's just really interesting that they did a Savage Dragon cartoon at the time, and you look at Savage Dragon these days and it's all like guts and semen and weird stuff like that. So anyways, everybody, thank you so much for everybody that joined us today for another wonderful episode of Omnibros Live on Sunday. We'll see you guys mañana. We are out of here. Let me get this out of here. Thing going. All right, dudes. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Don't be a dick.